equipped with a knife, and the strength of their lungs. The Haenyeo dive up to 15 meters deep in search of shellfish and other sea creatures. Most of them inherited this craft from their mothers, which has been passed down through the generations. The first documented references date back to the 17th century. In addition to being a symbol of identity and resistance recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage, the Haenyeo have also made important contributions to science in recent years. Researchers are investigating whether the divers' lifestyle may have contributed to the genetic selection of variants that could help treat chronic diseases such as hypertension and stroke. The tradition of diving in Jeju to collect shellfish from abalone to octopussy or sea cucumbers and seaweed has a documented history of over 4 centuries, dating back to writings such as the Topography of Jeju in 1629. Originally seen as a male activity, diving was a necessity for women in the 17th century. With men absent due to war, migration, or deep-sea fishing, women took on the responsibility of providing for their families, diving into the ocean to gather their daily sustenance. Thus, the Haenyeo was born, shaping not only the island's way of life but also its social structure, a unique matriarchal society. In some island communities, men were responsible for childcare, while women took on the paid labor. Traditions such as the payment of a bride price by the groom or the celebration of the birth of girls, rather than boys, reflect this social order, in which the Haenyeo's profession conferred respect and autonomy. The work is hard and dangerous. Shifts can last between 5 and 7 hours, even in winter, and dives reach depths of up to 15 or 20 meters. Technology has provided them with better working conditions. Cotton suits, for example, have been replaced by neoprene suits and masks, and fins have been incorporated, but they are still exposed to extreme risks. From decompression, sickness, and getting tangled in fishing nets, to encounters with sharks. Some have partially or completely lost their hearing due to changes in pressure. For generations, the Haenyeo have trained their bodies to perform under extreme conditions, diving to depths of more than 15 meters using only the air in their lungs, enduring sub-zero temperatures in winter, and holding their breath for minutes. The centuries-old tradition has had an impact on the DNA of these women, according to research by an international team of scientists. Diana Aguilar Gomez, population genetics expert trained at the University of California, Berkeley, led the genetic analysis for a study that began in 2019 and revealed unique physiological and genetic adaptations in the Haenyeo community. Her work, she told BBC News, consisted of analyzing DNA sequences in search of genes associated with specific physical characteristics in the Haenyeo population. The project, conducted in collaboration with researchers from the University of Utah, Seoul National University, and the University of Copenhagen, compared 3 groups: active Haenyeo from Jeju, women who do not dive on the island, and women from other places. Physiological characteristics, such as heart rate, blood pressure, and spleen size, were analyzed in experiments known as simulated dives. Were conducted to replicate the conditions of the diver's activity without putting the other participants, many of whom were elderly, at risk. We placed the women in front of a bowl of cold water, submerging their heads for a minute, and then we measured how their bodies reacted, explains Aguilar. These experiments allowed us to observe how the diving reflex, which reduces the heart rate to conserve oxygen, was activated with much greater intensity in the Haenyeo. We observed that their heart rate decreased much more than that of untrained women. This is an acquired adaptation, a product of training, says the scientist. The surprise came in the DNA analysis. We found a regulatory region of a gene that we believe reduces blood pressure, notes A. This discovery is especially relevant because the Haenyeo, even when pregnant, did not stop diving. Diving can increase blood pressure, which increases the risk of preeclampsia. We believe that this genetic variant may have a protective effect in these cases, he reveals. The team also identified a second mutation related to cold resistance, which may protect against hypothermia. 1. These women historically dived year-round with cotton blend trajectories, even in winter. This genetic variant may have been researched because it helped them survive in these conditions, explains the research. According to Aguilar, this adaptation may have been consolidated over 1,000 years ago. Imagine 2 pregnant women in a diving community. One has the protective genetic variant and the other does not. Over the generations, it is likely that those with this mutation survive longer. And this is reflected in the collective DNA of the population, she illustrates. In addition to the anthropological interest, one researcher states that the discoveries have global medical potential. These variants are discovered at different frequencies in environments around the world. They may be relevant for people with hypertension or vascular problems, not just for divers or pregnant women. In the future, knowledge of these genes could serve as a basis for the development of treatments. Aguilar believes that they could become therapeutic targets. We don't know yet how this will be applied, but we know that something useful could come out of it. The team's work was published after years of international collaboration, and for a scientist, recording all this effort in a scientific journal is just the first step. Science works like a Lego system. We put the pieces together and others build on top. But the truth is that as Haenyeo, in addition to being a cultural heritage, we now also provide important insights for the medicine of the future, he concludes. For decades, the profession was seen as a lower-class activity, and many Haenyeo grew up without access to formal education, selling their fish in markets from a very young age. That has changed in recent years, with institutional and social recognition, especially since its inclusion on UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The South Korean government has offered financial aid, exclusive fishing rights, and promoted the creation of museums and schools with the aim of preserving the tradition. The impact of these measures, however, is limited. Few young women are willing to live under the constant risk and isolation of a life devoted to the sea. Only a few are becoming divers, and many who do so only do so occasionally or part-time. Today, more than 80% of them are over 60. This is partly explained by the economic transformation that Jeju has undergone in recent decades. The island, which for centuries depended on fishing and agriculture, has turned to mass tourism and the service sector, providing more convenient and better paid employment opportunities than diving. As a result, fewer and fewer girls are following in the footsteps of their Haenyeo mothers, and the traditional knowledge that was once passed down from generation to generation is in danger of being lost. Some initiatives, however, have found new ways to keep the spirit of women of the sea alive. One example is the Pyeongdae Sungae Guksu restaurant on the northeast coast of Jeju, founded by 2 female divers, which serves traditional dishes made exclusively from the products they catch themselves, such as the coveted sea urchins. The restaurant has become a small culinary sanctuary that celebrates Haenyeo culture while also helping to supplement their income. Another ray of hope lies outside Jeju, on the southern island of Jeju. Shahijin, 32, left the bustling city of Busan to become a diver, and after a year of unpaid training, she literally threw herself into the business. Today, she doesn't just fish for abalone and sea urchins. By documenting her life on social media, she has become an influencer, appeared on TV shows, and even starred in a film. With her friend Jungmin Woo, also a diver, she led a small group of young Haenyeo women determined to preserve the tradition while adapting it to the 21st century. They know they have not chosen an easy path. In addition to the risks of the activity itself, they have to deal with abandoned fishing nets, illegal fishermen, and the effects of climate change on marine ecosystems. Even so, diving year-round, they are proud of their profession and find a freedom in the sea that they say they would not trade for the tedious routine of an office.